little echo. Okay, can you just say, my name's Heather Ford. You're still a student here, or you just graduated?
I just graduated.
My name's Heather Ford, graduated from the University High School in 1984, whatever you want to say, or whatever your job is now, but your name, what you do, or if you want, you can throw the school in as well. Just a little 3-second introduction.
Okay.
Looking this way.
My name is Heather Ford. I am a MIMS 2011 student, just graduated, and I work for Ushahidi.
Cool. And MIMS is what?
What is MIMS? I don't know. What do I say?
Well,
I'm a graduate.
Just graduated from the iSchool.
Okay. Hi, my name's Heather Ford. I just graduated from the iSchool, and I work for Ushahidi, and I'll have to do that again.
Right, and don't say just, because just isn't just a year from
Okay.
now.
Just say I'm a 2011 graduate.
Yes.
Of UC Berkeley's
Okay,
high
why don't you
school.
just write it down?
Okay,
No, I'm kidding.
Sorry. Where's my script first? Sorry.
Okay. My name is Heather Ford. I haven't just. This is like. My name is Heather Ford. I graduated from the iSchool in 2011, and I work for Ushahidi.
Great. Heather, can you describe the iSchool for us?
The iSchool is a place where information professionals come to learn about how information is produced and how information is distributed. So it's like a two-way process where we learn about how people consume information, but also how new users are trying to create their own information sources.
And what did you study while you were at the iSchool? What was your emphasis?
My emphasis was on information privacy and on ethnography. So studying how online communities are formed and what they talk about and how they govern themselves online.
Great. And what's one of your favorite things about having gone? What was one of your favorite things about the iSchool?
I think the culture of critique is my favorite thing at the iSchool. So I think this is what universities are all about, and a lot of other schools are just about being fans of the information revolution, which I think is great, but I think the iSchool brings a really special type of critique, which I think is really, really important as we go into the field. And I think it's this critique that enables us to be really special information professionals. I don't think I see that very often, and I think this is what makes the iSchool really special.
And can you also talk about the collaboration between students while in the program?
Yeah, so there is a real emphasis on collaboration, and the great thing about the iSchool is that it brings together students from very different disciplines. And that's really what collaboration is about. When you go into the real world, it's not about collaborating or working with people who are exactly like you. The real world is about collaborating with people who are very different from you and see things very differently. And I think that's what makes innovation happen. It's when people from very different perspectives get together and talk through and challenge one another about things. And I think the iSchool, that's really what the iSchool is about bringing together students and disciplines from a variety of different fields and then seeing what will happen. And it's not always easy, but I think it makes for a really wonderful educational experience.
And can you also...
Can you hold for just 1 second? Do you guys want to make a break for it?
I'm going to ask you now about the professors and some being out in the working world, but maybe shorter, a little shorter.
Okay,
answer.
cool.
So Heather, if you can talk about some of your professors or the professors at the iSchool, and specifically I'm kind of curious about that you have teachers coming in from the outside, that have jobs, maybe they come to lecture, or that you have exposure to people out in the working world.
Yeah, so I think it's wonderful that there are professors that come out from, let me stop that again. I'm not going to repeat what you just said. So I think it's great that we have professors who are, I don't even know what I'm going to say there. I don't even know if there is actually any. Do I want to say that?
Is that not the case?
Well, I mean, not really in my case.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm really in research, so...
Okay, but maybe talk about the professors and
Okay.
the quality, maybe accessibility too. Are the professors very accessible to you guys? No.
I'm not going to say... I mean, I do think that... Okay, I know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Karen, they say anything?
Is that gonna kill it?
I mean, you can hear it.
That's not good.
The
That's all I
ele-
can hear.
That's all you can hear. Uh-huh.
it's the elevator, right?
Is it the elevator? Okay, there's
I
no
think
AC
it's
in
the
building?
elevator.
Okay, so we're good.
Professors.
So I think the wonderful thing about the iSchool is that it's really a hub for great professors in the field of information and beyond, and also people from around the world who come here to talk about issues that they're working on, which I think is really exciting.
And what was your background as an undergrad?
I actually started as a journalism student, so I studied journalism, and then I became really interested in internet policy and activism. So I've worked in kind of freedom of expression on the net and copyright issues.
And tell us about your job now. What you're doing now.
So I have a job with Ushahidi as an ethnographer, and Ushahidi was started after the election violence in Kenya a couple of years ago as a way for ordinary people to get the word out via SMS or news reports about what they were experiencing. So there was a lot of violence in Kenya at the time, and this was a way for ordinary citizens to report on that violence. And since then, they've been really successful in running campaigns around the world. And so I'm working as an ethnographer, which means that I study how communities form and govern themselves online.
Cool. And
I love Berkeley, and I love being in Silicon Valley. I think Berkeley is a really special place. I was at Stanford for a year in Palo Alto, but I think Berkeley is just really special because it's close to the city, it's close to San Francisco, but it also has its own independent vibe, and I think that's really, really hard to come by, and I think it's what makes Berkeley really special. It has an amazing aura about this place. It's really special kind of things happen here. So I worked on, for my final project, I worked on a project around information privacy in educational environment. So what I did was interview students and teachers and student administrators in the School of Information to find out how information was flowing in the physical structure of the school. And I did this in order for us to develop better privacy practices and policies around schools that are employing social media and getting their students to be online in a big way.
And what do you feel like is one of the very best things that you got out of going to this school?
So I think so I was talking about the critique, but I think that the school has an incredible network, and basically being a part of this family for 2 years really gives you access to a network that you really wouldn't be able to access in any other way. And I think that the iSchool community is small enough that people really care about each other, and that you really have a strong position in that community going forward. So I think probably that network is something that is probably the most valuable thing that I gained from being here.
that's a common thread, really, with
Yeah.
everyone we've talked to, the people. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
How'd you help to strengthen that network and expand it for all other students, Heather, by making InfoCamp happen? Talk about InfoCamp.
Okay, yeah. So another really exciting project that I was involved with was called InfoCamp, and basically we brought together information professionals from around the Bay Area and with students here and to talk about information topics. So we talked about search optimization and how Wikipedia communities exist and grow in the Bay Area. And we had people coming to talk about natural language processing, and it was really exciting because it was students connecting with real-world professionals, and it was really successful. We've had it for 2 years, and hopefully it will carry on, but there are other InfoCamps. The first one was started in Seattle at the school there, the information school there, and that was a really exciting thing.
Cool. Jeff, any
I'm
questions?
good. Could I just have you grab that paper and hold it for 1 second? Just right in front of your face, just for 1 sec. Other side. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have one last question. Just what was, you said you were, before, there was time between your undergrad and coming to high school, right? Like a couple of years or something? What were you doing during that period, your job? Or how did you, how did you, I guess what I really want to know is how did you decide, okay, I want to go to grad school, or I want to take the next step? Like, you're in the working world, like, what made you find this? How'd you find it? What was the motivation?
So I'd been involved in the internet activism space for a long time, like about 10 years. And what I saw as a gap was that we were talking about how great the internet was, but we didn't have any real evidence to suggest how people's lives were really changing. And so I came to the iSchool as a way to really, really get to understand how the internet and how this information revolution was practically affecting society. And so that was really my motivation. I applied only for this school because I came here a couple of years ago. A friend of mine, Eric Kanzer, at the time was working here, and he was doing really exciting things, and I thought this is exactly where I want to be, at the interface between all these different fields, and that something really new and something very special was happening at this school. And so that's what made me decide to come here, and I was pretty determined to do it.
Who would you, who's a good candidate for this school? Like, who would you recommend it to? What type of person? Or like, what crossroads might they be at that they would want to come here?
So I think the kind of person that I would recommend this to would be someone who was really curious about the world, who was interested in opening up new doors. I think for people who use this specifically to get somewhere in business, or that they have a, okay, let me start again. I think people who are open to new ideas and who are creative and curious about the world are going to do really well here. I think you need to be self-motivated, you need to be able to take the initiative and really just explore everything that the school has to offer. And I think if you're curious and if you really want to discover these things, you'll have a great time here.
And just if you can sum up, it was interesting what you were saying about how technology has affected people's lives. I mean, if you had to sort of say that in a few words, what do you think are the? I mean,
I'm
that's
so
huge.
verbose, I know.
No, I don't mean it like that. I just,
No.
It's a really interesting thing. I mean, how do you think it's affected people's lives?
Oh, okay. Been thinking about this a lot lately, actually.
Overthrown governments, Egyptian elections.
Yeah, so I actually don't believe in all of that. So I think that we hear a lot about how the internet is responsible for a lot of political revolutions, and how Twitter is responsible for the Egyptian revolution, for example. But what I truly believe is that the internet is about giving people a sense of agency. So being able to comment on a story, a news story, being able to send in a report, being able to tweet what just happened to you. There's not necessarily any distinct cause and effect evidence, but it's about people having the sense that what they say might change the world around them. And it's that sense of agency that I think is really exciting.
People like to be heard.
People want to be heard, yeah, and it's, you know, we often try and make a causal link between what someone said and what happened, but actually I think we need to be thinking, how did being able to speak in a way that we never were able to, how did that make people feel, and how did that make communities feel? Like how is that kind of sense of agency enacted in the world? It's not really about, you know, specific cause and effect. Sorry, that's very vague.
No, that's great.